Women are relational. We are relational to our core. We're relational experts, actually. And we get so much from being together, especially if we are in a place where we can be honest about our lives, where we can feel understood, we can feel compassion as a response or empathy, or in a place where we have shared interests.
Yep.
Yeah, or shared experiences. Welcome, friends. Stacey here. I'm so glad that you are joining us today. And for those of you that are listening in, nothing sounds any different, except that those of you that are watching on YouTube noticed that there's something really different. We thought that we would open up a new venue for those of you that enjoy not only listening to podcasts, but watching them. So here we are. We're still the same podcast with still the same goal of fixing our eyes on Jesus. So I want to just share this one verse with you this morning, or it's morning for me. I don't know what time it is for you. Revelations 4:3 and verse 6. The one sitting on the throne was as brilliant as gemstones, jasper and carnelian, and the glow of an emerald circled his throne like a rainbow. In front of the throne was a shiny sea of glass, sparkling like crystal. Isn't that beautiful? Our God is beautiful, and that's who we are fixing our gaze on, not just today and in this moment, but increasingly throughout the moments of our lives. I'm really happy to have with me in the studio today for our first YouTube is Stacey Burton.
Thank you.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi.
You are familiar with Stacey. Stacey is the director of women's ministries here at Wild at Heart, and she's also the producer of Captivated. So, welcome.
Thank you. This is a truly exciting day.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
We've been dreaming of this for a while.
For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start our time by doing a little background. See, today's podcast is going to be about a really exciting new initiative that we've begun at Wild at Heart to help you, to come alongside you in your life for reaching the women in your world. And we're really excited about it. But before we get to that, kind of want to set the stage as to why. In 2023, the Surgeon General said that loneliness is an epidemic. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
It's not that surprising.
I was going to say, but are we surprised?
Right. And most of the research has been done for men because of that crisis. But current research suggests that women are as lonely as men and often more lonely than men. And I want to just say as well that this isn't a new experience. I remember in Genesis where God says it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled across this verse this morning from David. It says in Psalm 25:16, he says, "Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted." The research also indicates that the loneliness that women experience isn't relegated to certain stages of life, but extends throughout their whole life. So, Stacey, have you, and the women that you interact with, have you found that to be true for them?
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting to feel lonely when I'm married and when I have children and family that lives close by. But I just remember decades of feeling utter loneliness.
Yeah. And thanks for turning it to you, because I kind of tossed it as the broader spectrum.
Sorry. Yeah.
But that's okay. It really is. It's a very personal thing.
And then I can speak to many a conversation where women are so hungry for a community. And I don't know why, especially as we get older, that close community feels extra hard to find. So I think there is a deep loneliness, even if you have others. There's something not being spoken into in our lives.
Yes. And it's not rare. And actually, I think it's
rare.
every single person on the planet.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So even just to say that,
yeah,
like if you feel it, you're not weird. There's not something wrong with you. This is part of being human.
Yes.
I really love the research that's been done on belonging, where it's now clear that the need to belong is as high a need as food, as water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a need to survive.
Mhm.
And I love this quote. I want to read this quote by Brene Brown. She wrote, "Belonging is the innate human desire to be part of something larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substitutes for belonging, but often barriers to it."
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you try to fit in, you're not presenting your true self. You're trying to present what you think is wanted.
Yeah.
I remember when we first moved to Colorado and I went to a women's Bible study, and I was desperate for friends,
Yeah.
just so alone and isolated and just wanting some connection, really needing some connection. So I brought snacks to the Bible study, and then I went around to every single woman. You want something? You know,
That's
Stacey,
sweet.
and
That's sweet.
it absolutely didn't work. But it came out of my need, desire, not just to belong, but to fit in. So how many times did I lop off parts of my personality?
Yep.
I even changed the way I dressed, adopted phrases just to fit in.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Well, first, it's reminding me of session 2 of the Wild at Heart and Captivating
Yes.
Offense.
Yeah, which
of,
is
Fallen Eve
yeah.
and the poser and how we dress in fig leaves. So who do we need to be?
Yes.
But I mean, of course.
Yes.
Of course we want to be accepted. And I'm just wondering the bravery it takes to step into a situation like that. Of course, we're going to try to put on something that we feel will be received well. And it takes so much. I think that speaks back to why we're so lonely.
Yeah.
Because to show up as our true selves it takes a lot.
It does take a lot.
Yeah.
And some of it, I'm just thinking, some of it isn't bad. Like if I am in a place of deep self-loathing, for instance.
Yeah.
When I have to kind of entrust that to God,
Yep.
show up anyway and not lead with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Kind of turn it the other direction. So I guess there's some ways as we grow, as we mature and we want to offer and we want to love. But the truth is we need spaces and places, even if it's just with a few, where we can be honest.
Yeah.
So I want to read this other thing from this other researcher that just writes about how being alone is different than being lonely. Being alone is a physical state, but being lonely is an emotional state. And you hinted at that in saying, like, how can I be surrounded by people that I love and that love me, but I feel unknown, or I feel, okay, this is what they wrote. Being lonely is an emotional state where you're feeling alone or disconnected from others, even when they're right next to you. Sometimes we're happy to be by ourselves, and sometimes we wish for the company of others. And they overlap, don't they? Because if you're alone too much, and there's a line, because I'm a woman who gets refreshed by being alone. I need my alone time. Right. But if it's too much, then I can become isolated, and then that leads to loneliness. So just touching back on fitting in doesn't touch on the need to belong, and that we need to belong. And that's one of the gifts of Christianity. Yeah. It really is, because it's the opportunity to belong. I mean, the scriptures say that we belong to one another. We belong to Christ. We're children of God. We are brothers and sisters. We are in one family, and we do belong to each other. Yep. And yet, it's not isolated to just when you're at the grocery store that you could feel alone. It's in church too.
So true.
Yeah, it's with our communities.
I have fought this for a long time because I am an introvert, and I too, if you were to ask me, I would choose a night at home in my pajamas any day. But I think in my maturity have started to shift to, I do actually need to get out. I need to be around people. What felt safe and
Yes.
secure eventually turned into kind of a disruptive thing to my soul.
Ah,
So I'm seeing that, yes, we are made for community.
yes.
It is important.
Because jammies in a movie sounds really, really good, especially in winter.
I know.
But withdrawing,
It's the intention behind it, right?
it's the intention behind
Yeah.
it.
What's my motivation?
Yeah,
Hiding.
that's really good. That's really good. So I've got all kinds of notes
Me too.
about what women get.
Mhm.
And this is men too, but we're women. We're talking primarily to women here. So what women receive by being with others. I mean, the scriptures say, don't forsake the gathering together. There's a reason. And then when you are isolated, that's really easy for the enemy to pick you off. And that we saw with the pandemic,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
There was just an increase in loneliness because we were all relegated to our homes,
Yeah.
and then it was hard to get out of that. And then this mental health crisis really erupted from all kinds of things. But women are relational. We are relational to our core. We're relational experts, actually. And we get so much from being together, especially if we are in a place where we can be honest about our lives, where we can feel understood, we can feel compassion as a response or empathy, or in a place where we have shared interests.
Yep.
Yeah, or shared experiences.
And being able to offer that to other women too.
Yes, exactly. Being able to offer that. So that's a good segue to what the initiative is that we are starting. And there's accoutrement on the table. We have
Visual
hints,
aids. Yeah.
visual aids. Yeah, because we as a ministry want to do that. We
do.
want to encourage the gathering together, the fellowship of believers, the coming together. So we have venues and avenues for that, but we have a really cool new initiative. And so, Stace, I'm just going to lob it to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was reminded that it was a few years ago, it could have been 10, it feels like yesterday, that a lot of our team was given vision of fires popping up around the globe.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
We weren't quite clear what that meant, other than
Yes.
God is on the move. But it did lead to a vision of what turned into the Wild at Heart fires.
Actual fires.
Literal fires. Men gathering around a fire, inviting people in their neighborhood, their circle, to just be together as men without any pretense.
Wow.
And it's been incredible. It launched in 2023. And I think since then there's been over 1,000.
Wow.
So, and I know there's hundreds active right now. Well, last week, it came up on our website. We are launching Captivating Fires. So already we have 10 listed, and we haven't even announced it. It's really exciting. But what I do know is women are very hungry for the same thing, to have a gathering of women where you can show up in a Christ-centered space, a safe space, where you can come as you are and breathe and laugh and connect, and hopefully at the end of it feel restored.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So what I know about them is that it's a place to come where there's not pressure. There's not pressure to perform.
Right.
There's not even pressure to be prepared.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a Bible study.
Correct.
This is a once a month gathering where you're invited to come and gather and just, how are you? What's going on with your life?
Yeah. Right. So it's not a Bible study in the sense too that it's informal and it's fluid. I think the women may ebb and flow, and that can feel a little intimidating
You
too.
mean the women that come?
The women that come.
Okay.
May not be consistent every week because you're not necessarily going through a curriculum.
Or every month. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. Every month. And we do also encourage it once a month. I've heard from other women that it's going to be great, and you're going to be thinking, let's do this every week. But we want it to be sustainable. We want it to be sustainable for the host. and the people who are coming.
Yeah.
So once a month seems to be the sweet spot from experience.
Yeah, that's so wise
Yeah.
because of the pace of life and the busyness
exactly.
of life. It can feel overwhelming to have to add something to your schedule
Right.
because it's tough
It is
to
so
get out at
tough.
night.
Yeah.
It just is. But if you have something that, oh no, it's just once a month
Yeah.
and it's going to be life-giving.
It is going to be so
Yeah.
life-giving. And that's the key. We want it to be a refreshment for everyone involved.
That's such a good word.
Not an obligation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a
Yeah.
refreshment. You go out of a desire.
Yeah.
And I think, well, Stacey has so much to say about this, but one of the things is you're going with your honesty. You
Mhm.
kind of maybe change out of your jammy pants, but you put on your sweatpants. This isn't a get dressed up, and it's not a parade of the perfect. This is a come as you actually really are.
Yeah.
And it's also not an invitation to fix each other.
Exactly that.
Right?
There is something special about getting together where in a sacred space where God is invited in. And I encourage, it's okay to have moments of silence.
Oh, yes.
Because God's going to speak.
Mm.
We encourage the consecration before. We'll go into a little bit more of the details in a minute, but God's invited in. The host has created the space, and it's not up to any of the attendees to counsel to solve the problems, which can be difficult.
Yes.
But allowing God to speak and honoring stories women are going to be telling.
Yes.
To allow him to speak and just honoring the story, honoring others'
so
vulnerabilities.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of cooking shows, and I'm noticing that when they give directions, the response is supposed to be and is heard.
Oh.
And that way they know they got it. So that's kind of the gift, isn't it? It's just to be heard.
To be heard. It's so true.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We've touched it
Which makes
already.
us feel known.
Yes, but is there a grander vision? Like, Stacey, this is really your passion. Like this, it's our passion and we're in it together, but you've been running this ball down the field.
Yeah.
What's the vision for it? What's your desire for it?
Well, I think you just said it. To be together, to be heard, to feel known because you're being heard. It matters deeply.
It does.
In our lives.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to create a space where you don't have to come put together, you can come in tears, you can come in joy, and to be amongst women to encourage and support and speak to each other's hearts.
Yes.
Just with presence.
Yes. Oh, just with presence.
And kindness and welcoming.
Yes.
Can change someone's life.
And it does. We've seen it.
It does.
So you're coming up with the pressure to fit in. You're coming with the invitation to be yourself.
I love that. Yeah.
And a space where you are invited and welcomed and you belong.
Just as you are.
Just there.
Yeah.
So, how do they work?
How do they work?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is go to our website at wildatheart.org. Click on events and events for women. And then right there, you'll see Captivating Fires, where you can either find an event or click the button to host an event. So it's that simple. And you'll just walk through the process. As an attendee, you'll be given information to reach out to the person who's hosting the fire, get any more details that you need. As a host, you will be given a few other things.
Yes.
Physical and digital.
And
so while we say you don't need to be fully prepared, you don't have to set up a 10-course meal.
Thank you.
The attendees,
hors d'oeuvres, appetizers.
Exactly. It's up to you.
Okay.
But the bar is low.
Oh, good.
Again,
like they could bring their own water even.
The attendees can bring their own chairs. They can bring their own snacks for themselves or the share. If they're running straight from work.
Yeah.
No, if they're eating their
pressure.
Dinner, that's totally great. Exactly.
That's good.
This is a no pressure. And I think it's so important to emphasize that because as women, we want a Pinterest host, right? We want it to be Pinterest worthy.
Ooh, yes.
But this is not that. That's not the intention behind that. What you need as a host is your yes to God. Allow God to lead. the whole thing, and just providing the space, which I want to go into as well. It's a little bit of a sidetrack, but
Please do.
the space can be numerous things.
Okay.
You don't need to have a backyard fire pit with
Like
lights
a literal
and
fire. Yeah.
a literal fire.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And that speaks to a lot of women's hearts, being outside. But if you don't have that, that's okay. You can meet around a kitchen table.
Yes.
You can meet in your living room. So whatever you want this to look like, you can do. You do want to be a little bit prepared with questions, just as the facilitator, to have a little bit of organization. And one thing you get when you sign up is we're going to be sending you a monthly email as an encouragement and with some questions for that month.
Here's some suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And for women, I found it just takes one.
Yeah.
Like, how are you coming tonight?
Exactly.
Boom, you're off.
That could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this a 3-hour gathering? Is this a 4-hour gathering?
We encourage 2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
So some of the other things, as the host, you will initially be able to access all the download material. But we're going to be sending you.
Oh, hold it up.
Kit.
This is so cool.
We will be sending you this Captivating Fires manual. And in it is some sample questions, a sample agenda, just some guidelines. We don't want to say rules, but with any group, you want a little bit of structure.
Right.
If someone starts counseling someone, it's important to kind of bring it back.
Yes. And then what I love is that you're encouraged to share the little framework of the guidelines at the beginning of each one, just to set the stage. This is what we're doing. This is how it goes. And it's not mean. It's just kind of puts your heart at rest. Yeah.
And I think too, to again emphasize, we're not counselors. We're not here to teach. This is not the Bible study.
Yes.
It takes the pressure off of everyone.
Yeah.
So the other things that is included are these invitation cards. So again, unlike a Bible study where you're committed to a weekly thing, you can encourage women to invite other women. Once it gets to be 10 people or more, maybe encourage other people to start their own fire. I think that's the end goal, is to circle up communities.
Yeah, we want the fires to pop up all over the place.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some invitation cards. There's always so much more. Like, this is just the introduction to what God can do in one's life, how hearts can be restored just by being in another's presence and hearing and being known and listening as you are.
Yes.
And so what we're also offering for women whose lives are curious, we're going to give you a 6-pack of Captivating in your Facilitator kit. And that's just to give to the women who show up to your fires as God leads.
That's so great.
And then we have a sweet gift of a candle for the Facilitator. We kind of went with a beehive theme because I learned over the summer that beehives mean community. So it just felt really appropriate to offer as our thanks for your willingness to do this, a little flame light candle.
Yeah, no, I really love that because right now it's so cold in Colorado.
Yes.
I mean, today it says it feels like -24.
Yeah.
And that's during the day. So if I was having a gathering tonight, we're not going to be outside.
No.
But I have a candle. And I like the symbolism of that. So if we're just gathered around in the living room, I'm just going to have it there and just light it. And it's symbolizing, the fire that's burning in our hearts for God, how we want to fan the flames for others and encourage them in their lives, and just the coming alongside. And as you're saying, the life that is engendered just by being together with women who may be different from each other, but are facing the same direction.
Right.
Wanting to walk with God, wanting to grow in their relationship with Jesus. Maybe they're soaring in it. Maybe they're failing in it or feel like they're failing in it, because we're always, up and down our seasons.
Right.
But even if it's a chance, and it is, just to come alongside and get encouragement. No, I've been there. I know
Exactly.
that. Or just to listen and not respond at all, but have empathy in your eyes
Yeah.
without the judgment.
Right. Isn't that when you're talking with someone, you hear the, oh my gosh, me too.
It's the
Um,
me too.
that's what takes out the loneliness, I think. That's what shuts it down.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I remembering being in a car on a drive with about 5 women, as in the passenger seat, and these are such women that I esteem, who I see in social situations, and they're just chatting with all kinds of different people and talking and so at ease or starting conversations and frankly they just look really good. So I don't know what made me ask the question, but I did. I asked, do you guys feel like you fit in?
Mm.
And to a woman, they said, they paused for a second because it made them go, "Ooh, we're gonna answer a real question." They said no. So I
Mm.
think that was revelatory, and it gave me, oh, this is a shared experience, and just naming that out loud brings such mercy. It does,
Yeah.
and to come alongside in a place where you can be your quirky self.
Yeah, exactly.
Just you have your own sense
Be
of humor.
yourself.
Just be yourself.
Just
Be
be
yourself.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So to do one,
Hmm.
you just get on the website, which is going to be in the show notes.
Yes, we'll put that in the show notes.
Great.
Just sign up. And I want to encourage everyone to do this even before you feel ready.
Oh, that's so important.
If you feel God nudging you,
Uh-huh.
I understand. Oh, did I hear right? And oh, maybe next year.
Or it's too scary, but
It's too scary.
something pricked in my
And
heart.
it is scary, yeah, to invite a bunch of women over to your house. But ask God who to invite.
Ooh, that's good.
And some weeks it might be one person. Some weeks it might be 10.
Uh-huh.
But trust God
Yes.
that He is inviting you into this.
Yeah.
Trust Him by saying yes. And yeah, again, before you feel ready to do it, I encourage you to step into it. These materials, we are still in the process, so it might take a little bit of time to get to you, but
The hard copy.
the physical items
Yeah.
here, but they're underway. And I do want to note too how grateful I am that we are able to offer this because of generous donors. Like, this has been such an incredible ministry and initiative through the Wild Heart Message. I just am going to tell a quick story of there's been some women who have already done it, and one in particular. Now, hear me when I say this is a high bar, but
Okay.
they have a home in particular. They love, their mission is to run events. That's what God has called them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So how they handle it is the women go upstairs and the men sit around the fire, and they even have created a space for the children. Now,
Wow.
this is a space to get away, so I don't encourage running around, but
Yes.
or letting them run around, because
Yeah.
this is for your heart.
Yes.
But they have a babysitter, one of the older children, and so this works for their scenario. Or situation. One of the children came to the couple who are hosting these once a month and just thanked them for the space that they created for his mom and dad.
Oh, wow.
And he, as a 12-year-old, has really experienced and witnessed their changed lives because the parents have been fed into, they've been welcomed as they haven't before. And this child's life is also being changed because this couple said yes to hosting.
Wow.
Yeah, men and women around a fire.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a very sweet thing to watch. And that is just one of thousands of stories that we have heard.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And primarily the stories you've been hearing have been through the men's fires because those have been going on for a year and a half. But we have heard stories from women, even who started them before we said, yeah, we're getting behind you in this and we want to support you and we're going to give you
all the support.
some resources. But great stories of a college student, a young woman who just her heart burning to create a space, learned about Captivated, learned about the men's fires. where's ours? I want to do it.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
just
We're getting
go.
it.
Do
Just do
it.
it.
Yeah. So she began to do it, and 2 women and 3 women, and just the space where they got a place to come.
Mhm.
She began to see such life going in, and then some deepening relationships, some that was it. It was just a once a month thing, and that was fine. We're not asking you to develop intimate relationships with an additional 10 women in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is just creating a space to come and to once a month share. Now, maybe some friendships are going to be born out of that, and that's really cool. But that's, again, not the pressure.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
To emphasize that.
Can I say anything about the candles?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, these candles are handmade for you by our very own Stacey Burton. She's made all of these. So they're really made with love and prayed over and with such intention that these are going to be a space for gathering hearts around the beauty of Jesus and the hearts that we have for one another to see us flourish. Before we close, Stace, is there anything else that you want to say to women?
I think mostly thank you for whoever's feeling their hearts well up. I can't emphasize enough because I think we've said it multiple times, but to have a space to come together where God is the center and there's no pressure on anyone else to make it the most perfect situation in the world, to come as you are, and again, to be able to breathe and just let our lives down and to share stories of our lives. It creates an environment where God can start to come and heal. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's our desire. And we do want to support you in it. So yes, these will be ready fairly soon and sent out, but you can go online and you'll get all of the information, the guidelines, the help, the directions, the questions. And then as you'll send us your email, as you sign up, we'll be sending you monthly encouragements and just come alongside you in that. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens, but no promises, but we are dreaming about maybe doing even a monthly Zoom call for leaders that want to come in and just share their experiences with one another. So we do want to come alongside and bless. And for those of you that are being stirred right now and that are going, a yes, just like Stacey mentioned, just ask God about it and then dive in. Just risk, because I have a friend that says that's how faith is spelled, R-I-S-K.
Yeah.
And go. Thanks, Stace.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really good.
We're excited. We're so excited.
We are. So bless you, friends. I just want to leave you with, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and give you peace. Till next time. Bye for now.